Her face was an inspiration to many poets, writers, and artists, and history has immortalized her on the walls of temples and in works of art. By way of example, we see the head of Medusa in the center of a mosaic floor in the tepidarium of the Roman era in the Museum of Sousse in Tunisia. And in the National Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh, we see a roof ornament featuring the head of Medusa that dates back to the Etruscan civilization of Italy in the 6th century BC. On a preserved metope from the temple of Apollo in Cilianos or Silinunte, which was a city in southwestern Sicily in Italy, we see the hero Perseus beheading Medusa while Athena watches. Furthermore, the feminist movement has adopted Medusa as a symbol of women's rebellion against the oppression of rape victims and the victim-blaming prevalent in patriarchal societies. Above all, in our modern era, the famous Versace brand uses Medusa as its logo, a luxury fashion house that sells high-end clothing, accessories, footwear, perfumes, and home goods. So who is Medusa? The icon immortalized by history throughout the ages. This is Summer Ibrahim, and welcome to A Narrator's Ride. According to the accounts of many writers and poets, most notably the Roman poet Ovid, who was born in 43 BC and died in 17 CE, in his magnificent masterpiece Metamorphoses, the sea god Phorcys and his wife the sea goddess Chaito had 3 daughters. They were Steno and Ephriale, who were immortal Gorgons, and Medusa, the mortal human who dies like all other beings. Medusa was a girl of great grace and beauty with stunning golden hair. According to ancient Greek mythology, the Gorgons are creatures half human and half serpent, capable of turning anyone who looks at them into stone. Before we continue, please don't forget to support us by subscribing to the channel, pressing the like button and turning the notification bell to receive all of the updates. From a very young age, Medusa dedicated herself to serving the goddess Athena. She spent her time with a boy named Iphicles, who was her dearest friend, and the two were inseparable. As Medusa grew, Iphicles' love for her grew as well, transforming from a platonic bond into a deep, hidden passion. He asked for her hand in marriage, but despite her deep attachment to him, she could not abandon her dream of serving Athena. She refused his proposal and became a devoted priestess in Athena's temple. The essential condition for attaining this rank was absolute purity. The girl was required to remain completely a virgin, untouched by men. Medusa was an ideal priestess and more. The rituals she performed attracted crowds of admirers who were captivated by her beauty and her golden hair that shone in the sun. This aroused the anger and jealousy of the goddess Athena. Meanwhile, Poseidon, the god of the sea, and Athena's uncle watched Medusa closely. He was captivated and dazzled by her beauty, and he also sought revenge against Athena by seducing Medusa, who was one of Athena's most loyal priestesses. There was an ancient conflict between Poseidon and Athena over the right to patronize a city in Rome located by the sea. The gods decided that whoever provided the better service to the city would earn the honor of its patronage, and the city would bear their name. Poseidon struck the earth, and a spring of water gushed out, but it was salty and useless. Then it was Athena's turn. She struck the ground with her spear, and a magnificent, towering tree with green leaves emerged. It was the first olive oil tree in the world. The conflict ended with the victory of Athena, and the city was later named after her. Bitterness remained in the heart of her uncle Poseidon, who never forgot his grudge. While Medusa was walking by the sea one day, Poseidon appeared in all his glory, trying to seduce her with his charm. But Medusa refused his advances out of loyalty to Athena. Poseidon tried to seize her, but she resisted with a violent blow and fled toward Athena's temple for safety. Poseidon pursued her, and the brave Iphicles tried to block his path, but Poseidon struck him down with a single blow. Medusa entered the temple and threw herself at the feet of Athena's statue, pleading for help, but Poseidon assaulted her. He left her after committing his heinous crime, gloating over the desecration and insult to Athena's temple. Athena appeared, deeply angry and feeling insulted by her uncle. Because her uncle was a god and more powerful than her, she could not take revenge on him. So she took it out on the victim Medusa, who was innocent of any wrongdoing, especially since Athena already harbored a secret jealousy towards her. Athena transformed Medusa into a hideous, terrifying monster, a cursed gorgon like her sisters. Her skin became scaled, her hair turned into snakes, and her eyes became like a serpent's. She was no longer that beautiful girl. She had become a monster, half human and half serpent. Iphicles regained consciousness and searched for Medusa in the abandoned temple, finding her crying in the darkness. She begged him not to come closer so as not to be cursed, but he touched her shoulder, and a snake emerged from her hair and bit his hand. Medusa looked at him in terror, and at that moment Iphicles turned into a stone statue. Medusa wept bitterly as she hugged her childhood friend's statue, then fled so she wouldn't hurt anyone else. Many warriors tried to hunt Medusa down to earn fame, glory, and the favor of the goddess Athena, but all their attempts failed as they all turned into stone statues. Medusa's reputation spread everywhere, and people spoke only of that monstrous creature who turned everyone who looked at her into stone. This story reached King Polydectes, ruler of the island of Sipharos, who sought to marry a woman named Danae against her will. Perseus, who was Danae's son, protected her from the king, so the king wanted to get rid of him, so he sent him on a mission to kill Medusa. The gods knew of Perseus's plan and helped him. Hermes or Zeus, in some accounts, gave him a diamond-studded sword designed to cut through Medusa's tough neck, and also gave him winged sandals to enable him to fly. Athena gave him a polished reflective shield that allowed him to see Medusa's reflection to avoid looking directly at her. Hades lent him the helmet of darkness, which allowed him to disappear and escape the other Gorgons after killing Medusa. Finally, the nymphs gave him a magical bag designed to carry Medusa's head safely. Perseus managed to defeat Medusa and behead her. Medusa was pregnant by Poseidon at the time, and from her head, after it was severed, the winged horse Pegasus and the winged warrior Chrysaor emerged. After Perseus killed Medusa, he placed her head in the bag. While returning to meet the king, and as he was flying over Libya, drops of Medusa's blood fell onto the desert and immediately turned into snakes and vipers. There's legend saying that when Perseus flew over northwest Africa, specifically over the giant Atlas, who stood holding up the sky with his hand, Atlas tried to attack Perseus, but he turned him into stone using Medusa's head. The famous Atlas Mountains were named after him. The Atlas Range extends across Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria, and the Atlas lions found in Morocco were also named after him. In another legend, it is said that the coral reefs in the sea were created after drops of Medusa's blood fell into it. Perseus arrived at the island of Sipharos to find that Polydectes has already married his mother against her will. So he saved her by turning King Polydectes into a stone statue using Medusa's head. Athena was very pleased with Perseus when he presented her with Medusa's head. She replaced the image of the owl on her shield with Medusa's head as a symbol of her victory over her. In attempts by some writers to justify Athena's injustice towards Medusa and improve her image, they claim that Athena instigated the killing of Medusa to relieve her from suffering, and that she placed her head on her shield in honor of her memory. Now, has the story of Medusa ended here? And was Medusa truly a victim of Poseidon's rape and Athena's jealousy? Well, the surprise is that this is not the true story in the ancient texts of the Medusa myth, especially those dating back to ancient Greece. The story of her rape at the hands of Poseidon is not there. So, as for the rape story and the surrounding tales that portray Medusa as a human priestess punished by Athena, they are a later Roman invention. For example, the Greek poet Hesiod, who died in 650 BC, says that Medusa was one of the three Gorgons who were born monsters, the daughters of the sea gods Phorcys and Chato. In this version, Medusa is not human, not a priestess, and not cursed by Athena. She was born a Gorgon. He also states that the meeting between Poseidon and Medusa took place by mutual consent in a blooming meadow in a romantic fashion, and it was not rape. In other words, ancient Greek records say that Medusa was not a woman who turned into a monster, but she was born a monster from the beginning, and that choosing her as a symbol for rape victims is merely a myth built on a distortion of the original story. So, our story ends here for today, and it's up to you to believe whichever version you want to believe. If you enjoyed the content we present, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and turn on the notification bell to receive all of the updates. Thank you and goodbye.